You guys are live.
All right, this is I guess we can say this is a special meeting of the Recreation Commission to discuss issues revolving around the closing, or I should say the reopening, a decision as to whether to reopen the Homix Ice Rink for all activities or for limited activities or for no activities. So in that regard, I think everyone knows that we made a decision for safety reasons because of the coronavirus to close the rink. We've gotten a lot of pushback from residents. We've gotten a lot of pushback from the Mamaroneck Youth Hockey Association, who presented some compelling arguments. I view this as a situation, it could be a classic damned if you do, damned if you don't. We just have to balance the competing interests to decide what we want to do. I view it as a risk reward thing. We all know the rewards of reopening, if we don't have any problems, are terrific. The kids get the socialization, they get the exercise, they get the fun, they get the experience, whether it's figure skating or hockey playing. There are a lot of pluses. We all know the negative, which is simply the risk that someone either comes in with who's infected and spreads it, or that someone gets it there and spreads it. And we just have to weigh those risks. So I don't want to express any opinion. I really just wanted to see before I weigh in on this thing, what my fellow commissioners think.
Well, I wrote an email in response. I feel I'm probably more conservative in my thoughts about risk. I wonder, one of the questions I had is, what do the Mamaroneck town employees think of working in the rink, for example, with other people? Is that an issue at all?
It's a good question. Staff.
Yeah, I mean, I know we all know the risk when you're near other people or you're working with other people, and we're mitigating and, wearing masks. So that hasn't really been an issue. I mean, that's unfortunately the life we're all living right now. There is some concern that's been expressed based from the information that came out in the initial article in the Washington Post.
Right.
That has been raised of, raising some concerns of the environment and the conditions that they're working in, mainly amongst some of our full-time staff members that are working 8-9 hours in that environment. Their concerns have been raised. I made sure town officials were aware of the concerns so that everybody has all of the information in front of them when making a decision. I mean, they're going to do what they need to do, but obviously they've expressed some concerns.
Right.
I just want to read Brian Welch's response. He couldn't attend today, but I told him I would read his response. And Brian said, I understand that the discussion, well, I can skip that. Echoing Susie's sentiment that the rec department and Maya have gone above and beyond creating procedures to stay safe, I also share Rita's concern about town personnel and would like to better understand their perspective. Unless there is pushback from town personnel working at the rink, I am in favor of working towards a way to enable Maya to continue using the facility. Adding waivers and recording temperature checks seem like reasonable additions to Maya's health and safety guidelines. So I'm just throwing
So the
that
waivers, just to answer that, waivers are already done. The temperature checks are not being done. I mean, could be one more testing measure, but that really wasn't ever the real issue. I mean, I think we've heard the protocols, we're following the protocols. I mean, Maya, if you watched any of or read any of the information, we've all kind of participated in a variety of different discussions. The protocols that we put out there are being followed by Vicky's program, our program, Greenwich skating, ride figures. So it really was never about the protocols. We can certainly, take temperatures. I'm not sure that makes a big difference, except it makes people maybe a little more comfortable walking in the facility. It was always more about even Jim's got one. It was the issues were obviously Steve's big concern, Alteri's concern were the rising COVID cases in the community.
That's right. Yeah.
That was the initial big concern. And then the actual environment that we were reading that takes place in a rink, and how do we solve that air situation of potentially the virus staying in the thermocline at 5 or 6 feet? How do we move that around and out to improve the facility? So those were really the bigger issues. I mean, we could certainly add one more step to the protocols, but that really wasn't what raised the concern.
Bill, do you have a take on this?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I have no picture.
Unfortunately, we can't see you.
That's all right. I'm still as good looking as I was the other day. You're gonna have to believe me on that. No, I feel the same, that our hockey program, if we stay within the confines of their parameters of how they're controlling it, then I think we should give them a shot. But the article did state that the cause of a lot of the exposure was from teams traveling. If they want to use our facility exclusively and not travel, but continue to practice and keep the good, procedures that they do, I think we owe them an opportunity to continue, like you said, Jim, with the recreation, the skating and all. And they'll just have to make sure that the kids are monitored, temperatures are taken, masks are worn wherever possible, and contact is strictly, on an honor system, that if you want to play hockey, you're going to have to confine yourself to that and not go to parties, not go to other functions. It's tough. I don't know that there's a right or wrong, but I think we should give them the opportunity.
All right, it's your views on figure skating and public skating, and then Susie can weigh in.
Well, public skating, I'm a little skeptical on, because again, the public, you can't control as much as the league can control their skaters. They have something to lose and everything to gain if they abide by the rules. Figure skating, again, if they're able to follow the mandates and have their protocols, and again, they stay within their little egg, then they're fine. But again, they risk, and the liabilities, as you mentioned before, I don't know what the ramifications are if the town okays it, but are there waivers? I think somebody asked. I'm in favor of any group that stays confined. I don't think we should mix. I think we should stay within our own group and let the MHA and the figure skaters skate, but they have to abide by the COVID rules.
Susie?
I totally agree with what Bill just said. I didn't realize figure skating was also a possibility, but I would just add them the same as Maya's rules and whatever. They should be able to go in with a coach and practice and be taught and whatever under the same guidelines. I just feel like we're at a yellow light and it's not red quite yet until it's red. And everybody knows you don't stop cold at a yellow light. You kind of proceed with caution. And I think we should be proceeding with caution at this point.
I think that's a good analogy, and I agree. I think I think the hockey and figure skating programs should be allowed to proceed with all of the safety protocols. Again, bearing in mind that if things change, if the governor issues an edict, if we become an orange zone or whatever, we would have to change it. I'm dead set against the public skating. I think that just heightens the risk to an unacceptable level.
I would agree. And we're indoors. So, it's something that we can offer our resident. And if they, abide by what they're supposed to be abiding by, that's their responsibility. And they only have each other to be, confident of. But I also think that, we shouldn't be allowing people who are outside our district, in at this point.
Rita, you want to get the final thought on this?
No, that sounds, I agree with that. And the other thing I I guess this would be within the purview of Maya and the skating school to keep track of participants. Should there unfortunately be any outbreak, so that there would be contact tracing,
Yeah,
they
that's
would be
better.
responsible for that.
Yeah, that's been in place.
Yeah, I think I had read that. I'm sorry, I can't
That's okay.
remember.
No, I mean, that was what you, that goes all the way back to when we opened the pool this summer, that
Yeah.
who was in and,
Okay,
in some situations, we're not contacting each individual person, but we're contacting the main person, and then they have that obligation
I
to
see.
reach
Okay,
out to their list, but
okay.
just
All right,
I wanna make sure you also are aware, MYH, because I keep hearing about staying within the community and the school district. Maya does have about 15% of non-residents. Maya is still also traveling, just so you are aware of all the information. Maya is still traveling to other rinks. So I thought somebody said you wanted to just keep.
Okay, Nancy and I asked them that yesterday after our meeting. We called Brendan and Nancy did raise that concern. And what Brendan said to us is that because this rink was closed, they have been going to Brewster because they have an outdoor rink that they didn't feel that the other rinks had the high level of safety protocols. They weren't comfortable knowing who else was in the rinks, because don't forget, it is all their children. And so Brewster has an outdoor rink and they've been renting the outdoor rink.
If we reopen for them, will they assure us that they're going to use our rink exclusively?
We can ask them. I'm sure that I can tell you from what I've heard from some of the parents, none of them is happy driving 35 minutes each way to Brewster. They want to be at the Hummocks rink. I mean, let's face it. when you
I
live
have
there-
a
Merry
I'm
Christmas,
sorry.
everyone.
I have a special
Merry
guest.
Christmas. Hopefully you're all in good spirits today. Merry Christmas. You're all thinking very clearly as you do
Hi,
everything.
Santa, great to see you.
All right, it's good to see all of you.
Better get out
Bye,
before the snow. Bye.
Oh,
Thanks,
Boy, Jill, you got a lot of pull there.
Anna. For you,
Boy,
guys,
Jill.
absolutely.
Must have
We
been a
had to
good
lighten
girl.
things up a
Was
little.
he gonna,
It can't be all doom and
is
gloom.
he gonna bring us goldfish?
Sorry,
Is he gonna bring us goldfish?
Santa? Just because Steve's
Santa.
not on the call,
Santa.
don't assume Santa and Steve are one.
Don't spoil it.
No spoilers here. And okay, so I guess Jane, you were saying about we could ask them if they would exclusively.
Well, Nancy, because that's something you and Steve raised yesterday in our meeting, which was a good question. So Nancy and I called Brendan afterwards, and she did say to him that that was a concern that Steve raised. And he said that they did rent ice in Brewster because they have an outdoor rink. And so they didn't have to have those concerns. But none of the parents are happy, as you can well imagine, driving all the way up to Brewster and back all the time, or having their 17-year-old kids driving up there. So I think they don't want to be going. They want to be at their home rink, and they want to, because it's close, obviously, and because of all the safety protocols. It's their children. They want their children to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've been very committed to trying to stay safe. And I just, even if it's 15% from outside, I think those kids, they are monitoring with themselves within themselves. So I feel like they've been very upfront. And even if they go outdoors someplace else, you can't really control that. You could say don't do it, but they're monitoring themselves. So that's a very positive condition that I think they've had since the beginning.
I tell you, I went in one day just to watch, and I didn't sign in, and they like screamed at me.
Mm.
I didn't even think about it because I just was going in a second to look, but they're tough.
Good.
So also just for clarification, in the past couple months since we have been open, we've had a little bit of rentals from Greenwich Skating Academy and the Rye Figure Skating Club. Are those still two groups that if they're interested in continuing?
would it be the same protocols in place, including no contact?
Same protocols. Everybody in the facility on the ice now has to wear masks. If you remember, we added that a couple weeks prior to even closing down. So yeah, these are the protocols for the facility. If you're going to come in the facility, you need to follow them.
Right.
Are we going to have COVID cleaning, you know, after they exit, that kind of thing, the locker rooms, anybody maintaining bathrooms or anything like that?
Nobody's using locker rooms.
Okay.
First of all, we don't have locker rooms for anybody to use.
Exactly. Whatever they're
But
using
yeah,
is-
our cleaning protocols still stay the same.
Okay, because we had good success with the 400, 600 people at the pool by cleaning after everyone leaves and letting the next group back in. And if we follow that, at least we're doing something proactive, and that seemed to work all season.
Right, all of that stuff, yeah, we'll still do, we're comfortable doing. It was, in the meantime, you know, we are gonna keep seeing if there's something we can do to improve the air quality in the rink, and we're gonna keep working on that. I guess the question is, while we're working on that, are we reopening at some point here?
Well, I was gonna ask, how soon could we reopen at the earliest?
I need to talk to Rob and Michelle. I mean, we had nobody scheduled in the facility to work, managers, part-timers.
Right.
But aren't they on the payroll? Aren't they?
Full-timers are, but I mean, when the rink is open from 8 in the morning till 10 at night,
Okay, fair
you
enough.
need part-timers. So we only have 2 full-timers, so they can't work all the shifts 7 days a week. So
Of
we
course
need
not.
part-timers, and you need the cleaners, you need the sanitizers, and you need the check-in people. So we've got it. We had nothing scheduled in the rink, so we had no staff scheduled. So
That
we're
makes
going to
sense.
have to see, one, make sure people are willing to still come back to work. Obviously, the full-timers will be there, but we need to supplement with part-timers. How fast we can get people back in, we need managers, part-time managers, things like that. I'll talk to Rob. I mean, we're obviously wouldn't have done anything probably Christmas Eve, or definitely not Christmas Day. I mean, realistically, I would like to have till maybe Monday, the 28th, to give them a little time next week to try and get some staff back together. If you want
Yeah.
something sooner, I'll try and see what he can do, but I'll talk to Rob. That's really up to him to see who we can get into the facility and back on staff.
Yeah,
I
we were
think that's a
hoping.
fair timeline, but I also maybe.
Can I just say something about that? We were hoping to get, I think Nancy and I had spoken to them. We are hoping to do it in a week by the 23rd, if that's
That's what I was
possible.
gonna suggest.
I was going to suggest, like, as far as, I think that the 28th for like a full-time schedule, but in the interim, I think that if we can just get a couple people in for a couple hours, maybe for a couple days, I think that would be ideal.
Right.
That's what I was going to say.
Because
And again, I'll talk to Rob. He's on his way up.
because we're looking at that weekend, like the 23rd, and then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, obviously it won't be open, which is a Friday. But I think they'd like to be in for that weekend and for that week when the kids are off from school. So whatever, that's the 26th, is that?
The 26th is the Saturday. So I'll talk to Rob, see what he can pull together.
All right, unless anyone else has any thoughts, I'm gonna propose a motion at this time. And let me just say, as the ever jealous guardian of the Rec Commission's prerogatives, I think this is clearly a decision that rests with the Recreation Commission. And this isn't a resolution, this is gonna be a motion. I'm gonna, and feel free to amend it if I've left something out or gotten something wrong. I'm gonna resolve that at the earliest possible opportunity, the rink be reopened on a limited basis to the Mamaroneck Youth Hockey Association for its programs, for the figure skating programs, and for several of the other programs to be afforded use of the rink in the discretion of Jill and Rob. As long as all of the protocols that have been outlined by Maya are observed, and as long as Jill and Rob don't see any problems or any infections or any outbreaks, of any participants, staff, skaters, or anyone else, parents associated with the program.
You forgot to mention the town youth hockey program.
No, oh, the town as well, the town program as well. Thank you.
Gotta keep you on your toes, Mr. Drucker.
It was on
We'll
my list.
discuss this later.
Bill, just a question.
All right,
Are there different means of egress as opposed to going in and out the front door?
Yeah, there's one way in and a separate exit out, so the two are not mingling.
Exactly. So good. That's perfect.
we need to make sure that these protocols are enforced.
Oh,
One thing to say it, it's
That's-
another thing
that's
to
the
do it.
one thing I can't, talk about the air quality, but I can tell you the protocols, we can stand behind,
All right.
without a
Alright.
doubt.
All
Like
right,
we chased Jane down, nobody gets by.
Oh my God, it was hilarious. I thought I committed a crime, but I admire your zealous enforcement of the rules. I myself was a bad girl. I didn't mean to be.
my next motion will be to ban Jane for 3 months from the ring.
Oh, no, anything but that.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye. Aye.
All right, no one opposed, so that's it. And
I'm sorry, you cut out for a second, or I lost. So the thing I think you were starting to say, this is all at the discretion of Jill and Rob. That's what we usually do.
as to the other entities that can use it, the different skating clubs or whatever,
Okay.
we're
Right,
leaving
that's-
that up to them.
Under the existing protocols.
Yes.
Okay.
And obviously, we all know if the governor makes any changes or if we have
Right.
an infection, I mean, that affects our operation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
Okay,
And on behalf of the commission, I want to thank Bill Panessa for keeping his video off. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want
Happy
to,
holidays, everyone.
I'll let you
I want to
all know
thank
what we,
Jill. I
I'll
want
let you
to
all know
thank
what we set
Jill.
up.
I want to thank Jill for doing this, like being so nimble and doing this all in one day. And I know you're really busy and I appreciate that you cut out the
Well,
time to do that.
Everybody, we actually tried to do it yesterday and then we were told we have to now, we need to get into this new system if we're going to Zoom, that it has to be a publicly viewed meeting. And we have to work now with LMC-TV. And so you have to give now 24 hours notice. So doing things on the fly are going to be a little more difficult. So thank you for everybody making
Thank
themselves
you.
available today. I'll keep you posted on our timing. We'll do what we can. Rob and I will go over it today, see what we can get in. So.
All right. And Susie, this is
Okay.
what a real waiver looks like. Got it?
Happy waiver.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks again.
Same
for
to you.
joining in.
Thank you.
Holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.